Creativity is not the first thing which comes to our mind when we talk about educational institutions. So, why do you think it is so important?
Creativity in education is now gathering a lot of interest. In traditional institutions, universities, colleges, creativity was not given much of a thought. But that is now changing.
So, what does an innovative educational institution look like to you, especially in the context of higher education, especially in the context of health professions education?
Healthcare institutions will have to balance two things. One is to be traditionalist, to follow the system, to stay within the railings, not go overboard, left or right. One of the most important points that I would like to make that we have to take away is that creativity is not innate.
Einstein says, no, is nothing but intelligence having fun.
Now, with the advent of AI, generative AI, which can bring up images, all you have to do is tell it what you want and it can conjure up various prototypes for you.
We talk about creativity. It is not just a personal experience or personal trait. It is more of a cultural trait.
Research shows that creativity can be taught and it can be learned as well. Anybody can learn the basis of creativity.
Good afternoon, friends. It's nice to meet you after a gap. We bring from you Santosh University, the Santosh MedCast, which focuses on trying to bring in a new topic, new series every time we talk to you. In continuing with our series on In Pursuit of Excellence, we have another episode today, that is episode number 2. In a world where institutions are built on processes and systems, creativity is the one which often feels like an unwanted guest. Today we have, what if I tell you that creativity is the one which is going to help us to transform institutions and to take innovations foothold. So welcome to this In Pursuit of Excellence series. And today I'm Dr. Mahalakshmi, Vice Chancellor of Santosh Deemed University, your host for today. And today we will be exploring a very compelling topic on the theme, how can we innovate workplaces and how creativity can transform educational institutions. And our guest today, I should say, he's a Renaissance man, a force. He is a pharmacologist by training. He has patents and copyrights to his credit, but he is much more than that. He is a medical educationist. He's a maverick on medical informatics. He's a graphic designer par excellence. He's an extremely creative artist, calligraphist. He has a very keen eye for musics, reads voraciously, and generally knows everything around under the sun. So, meet Dr. Jagan Mohan, who is the Deputy Director of E-Learning Center at SBV, who is a pioneer in digital transformation of education. Welcome, Dr. Jagan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here at Santosh.
Yes, like Dr. Jagan inspires from many podiums across the world, and today he is there right in front of us, taking part in this podcast. Okay, we'll try and explore little themes on this creativity at workplace and especially at educational institution today. Creativity is not the first thing which comes to our mind when we talk about educational institution. Is it not so, doctor? So why do you think it is so important? Not especially in a very traditional hierarchical systems like educational institutions.
It's very true. When we talk about creativity for a very long time, it has been associated with creative arts or performative arts like painting, drawing, design. Uh, People used to think that creativity has very less to do with engineering, sciences, and technology. But that viewpoint is changing, and quite rapidly so. Cognitive science for a long time has been studying memory, intuition, reasoning, logic. Now it has come to creativity. The number of articles published on creativity, if we track it in the published literature, we can see that there is a sharp uptick after 1980 to 2000, and since 2010, it has been studied much more intensively. And creativity in education is now gathering a lot of interest. As you rightly said, in traditional institutions, universities, colleges, creativity was not given much of a thought. But that is now changing. And I'm very happy that at Santosh we are having this dialogue about creativity in education. And we would love to explore it in great detail.
Yeah, thanks, Jagan. And also, having known you and worked with you also for a long time, I kind of understand that your design, you don't come up with ideas, you don't give us designs. Actually, you think about changing the environments in which these things happen. So, what does an innovative educational institution look like to you, especially in the context of higher education, especially in the context of health professions education?
Fantastic. Now, as we all know, all institutions have a culture of learning. Learning institution explores various avenues how we can affect the students' learning as well as how we are doing our assessment. You rightly said, in healthcare institutions and other institutions of higher education, the emphasis that has been placed so far on lateral thinking, thinking out of the box, creative thinking, innovations, has not been up to the mark, especially in India. We have always had a system of rote learning, of railroading students into a particular way of thinking, reproducing material, which we then assess. That is completely changing. If we had to look at the role of creativity and expand it, especially in healthcare, we have systems based practices. That means we have clinical guidelines, we don't have much leeway. We cannot say that we can practice medicine creatively. That is not very good. That is frowned upon. We have to follow. So healthcare institutions will have to balance two things. One is to be traditionalist, to follow the system, to stay within the railings, not go overboard left or right. However, within the freedom that is afforded to us, within the space that is given to us, both as educationalists as well as learners, lifelong learners ourselves as teachers, we will have to explore newer ways of teaching students using newer materials, newer medium, especially leveraging the latest technologies that is coming up in the digital realm, making it interesting for students, making it easy for students to understand complex topics, explaining them to this way. All of this calls for a creative reinterpretation of the teaching arts, as we can call it. So we learn ourselves and we try to make it simple for students. We make complex topics accessible, learnable, and then we will also bring in creativity when we are assessing them. So these are some of the ways in which creativity can play a greater role in higher education, especially in health professions education. I would like to add that nowadays, when we have a checklist of how our learning material should be, or a checklist for determining if we are following certain rules, it would be a good idea to bring in creativity. Also, for example, in rubrics, if you are giving an assignment, we usually miss this out, but nowadays we are learning also. We are now adding a creativity part. How creative is a work? Now, when students know that they are going to be assessed or they are going to be judged on the basis of creativity, also, it helps them. It promotes them. One of the most important points that I would like to make that we have to take away is that creativity is not innate. We used to think that some people are born creative, others are not born creative, others are not creative at all. That is not so. We know it from research right now that if you have a culture of creativity in an organization, everybody's level of creativity also goes up because the leadership recognizes creativity, appreciates it, and then everybody else strives to be a little more creative. That means they are innovative, they come up with new solutions, and the culture lifts everybody up. Similarly, students also, if you are told them you can be creative in your responses to assignments, you can do this, you can do that, you have this much of freedom to do this, then it gives them an avenue to explore new things, and they sometimes amaze us, they surprise us with new things. And we also, if we appreciate that, then it builds upon, so that our target is at some point our institution should be one that has a very high level of appreciation as well as use for creativity. We have to recognize it, nurture it, so that it flourishes.
That is very well said. the point in question, you were talking about students' creativity. This particular MedCast series itself is an idea conceived by our students, being executed by our students, and launched by our students. I think that is a
Congratulations to that.
testimony to the creativity.
Exactly.
Creativity, as Einstein says, no, is nothing but intelligence having fun.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah, the fun part is very important. We'll have to
Okay.
underscore that.
Yeah, the other thing which I wanted to ask you is that you've been a torchbearer for digital transformation of educational institutions. So, how do you think that the digital tools and what tools you think will help us to push the institution forward? And as educational leaders and front benchers in this particular field, what should we be doing more to enhance this?
Digital transformation in education is very close to my heart. I believe that tools could be very well leveraged, could be used for all purposes, one of which is to promote creativity. And through creativity, we can achieve higher levels of attainment of scores, better results, and most importantly, user experience, the students' experience of being in college. This part of their life is something that is going to be memorable for them. And if you can contribute a little more to that, they will leave our institution with not just a degree as well as knowledge, they will also leave our institution with a great experience. Now, digital tools. We have an array of tools and it will take a long time to go through all of them. But one of the main advantages of using digital tools to promote creativity is that it is very easy nowadays to prototype anything. I have an idea. Earlier, I have to execute it on paper. I take a pencil and then some erasers and scales and I draw things out and model it on a paper, and then maybe I can cut out cardboard and make small models of that in 3D. But now with the advent of all kind of tools that we have, all you need to do is imagine something and very quickly you can bring it to life. You can color it as you want, you can shape it as you want. Nowadays we have CAD kind of programs on your computer. Even you can use your mobile phone. And now with the advent of AI, generative AI, which can bring up images, all you have to do is tell it what you want and it can conjure up various prototypes for you. With 3D printers, you can also become a product designer. There's no end to what you can do. So digital tools allow you to very quickly experiment, prototype, bring it out, choose. What used to take weeks before can be done in a matter of hours. All you have to provide is creative juices of imagination. Once happens, then you become happy that you can see your imagination come to life be, you know before you in a matter of seconds. So there are a wide variety of digital tools. I would very much like to ask everybody to go out and explore these tools, use it for a few minutes, watch other creators doing something out of it. And if you find your niche, if you find your interest in one of these tools, then you can go deep and then learn it and master it, so that you very quickly get things that you have always dreamed of.
Mm. So, what Jagan you're trying to say is look into the Bloom's taxonomy of digital tools for creativity.
Yeah, actually digital tools in action is can be realized using digital technology. Absolutely right. So
Okay.
the make thing is very, very important.
So it's just not technology which needs to be married to liberal arts. I think that's what makes our hearts sing.
Yes, exactly.
Right. The other question is when we talk about creativity, it is not just a personal experience or personal trait. It is more of a cultural trait, right?
Absolutely, yes.
And how do you bring out the creative best in the students, especially when they think that they are not the creative types? I'm sure that you have something more to say, even though you touched upon this topic earlier.
Yeah, that's right. Many of us are led to believe, wrongly so, that we are either born with creativity or we lack it and we won't be able to do it. This is self defeating thought. But as I told earlier, research shows that creativity can be taught and it can be learned as well. Anybody can learn the basis of creativity. Nowadays, there are also courses that teach you the basis of creativity. And of course, we have touched this before, the culture of creativity has to be there so that students have the freedom to explore these things. So, from top down, if the leadership understands the importance of creativity, they can slowly try to bring in and create a space for creativity. There will be some learning spaces which promote creativity in workshops and other places. Now, there are some definite steps. There are a few studies which have understood or analyzed what creativity is. There is one paper, I'm not able to recall it right now, that looked at all the patents and the inventors behind the patents, and they have narrowed down a set of 40 traits or 40 steps to be creative or inventive. Inventing something is also a form of creativity that results in something new, which can be then patented. And they said how to train others to imbibe some of these 40 characteristics. Now there are steps to do that. There are courses also. I urge everybody to explore this, how to be more creative. So first thing is to defeat that mindset that I'm either creative or not. I'm an artisty type or not artisty. Some people call themselves, I'm not artisty. I can't draw anything, not even a simple smiley. Yes, because when you try to draw something or paint, it takes long years of hard work. You will have to start with certain basic things, and then you have to have the connect with your hands and the brain to draw. It doesn't come very easy for everybody, but everybody can do it, provided we just have to work a little bit harder than the born artist type. But we can also achieve the same level of artistry like Michelangelo, for example, if we follow certain steps. For them it might be easier, for us it might be a little harder, but we can also reach any level. So, if we combine both a leadership that understands creativity and tries to bring in creativity at every step, even while creating a document or a paper, we can exercise creativity in the way we select our words, we put it in form, or how we present it. All of these things call for some degree of creativity. We cannot go too far, like using 10 types of fonts in one document doesn't look good. So we'll have to choose the most appropriate form of creativity. There are many types of creativity. There is verbal creativity, there is visual creativity. So we have to choose the appropriate type of creativity for the task at hand. We have to spend some time thinking about it, musing, they call it, muse, thinks deeply about it. And they look at various options. They choose two or three of them, and then they experiment, and then they come up with certain things. If you look at how, say for example, poets work, it is not that they get this inspiration all of a sudden and everything is done. No, they do get inspiration. Ghalib used to get inspiration after imbibing some beverages, and or when he's sleeping, and in order not to forget it, he used to put notes. That's how the story goes. And next day morning he will put down all those thoughts onto paper. But then they have to juggle, they have to change some things. Now there is a huge question: what's the role of creativity in science, for example? Where does it fit in? How, what happens? Nobody thinks about creativity having some part in scientific inventions or experiments. But however, we have to remember that almost all major discoveries, inventions, were all born out of creativity, out of imagination, out of dreams, out of thinking during sleep. The discovery of benzene rings. The story goes, he imagined a snake eating its own tail. That imagination is not new. It is very old. Almost all old mythologies, old cultures have that image. You can see a circle, a snake head of the snake is consuming the tail, kind of thing. He got it in a dream, and then he tried to put the structure of the benzene within that dream, and that's how he came up with the idea of a benzene ring. Before that, benzene rings didn't exist. It is just uh, um, molecules combining together in straight lines. So he had the experience, he had chemistry knowledge, and then he thought deeply about it, and his subconscious mind worked out the other details. So there are some things that our conscious mind can work out, some things that our subconscious mind can work out. Bringing them together brings out process, even in science. So there is a huge place for creativity in science. We need to acknowledge that. We need to give that space. We need to train all of us so that we can come up with new ideas. Every time you come up with a new idea, it is creativity in action. But then we have to bring it into a formal realm, acknowledge it, and try to study it in a structured, formal way, and then bring the creative process in almost in everything that we do.
Yeah, thanks for emphasizing that point. that creativity can be something which can be learned. That reminds me of Michelangelo when he says that if only people were to know how much of work goes behind my creations, they will
Exactly.
cease to be amazed by it.
Right.
And the other thing, no, the other side of what you said about creativity, nurturing creativity. I think as leaders, as educational leaders, it is our job to provide the space for the creativity to grow and nurture in our institutions.
Absolutely.
That is, I
Yeah,
think, the
I
key
need to add
takeaway.
one more to the space. That also means freedom. Usually, sometimes the leaders or teachers are a little strict. If the student does something slightly differently, they come down on them, drastically. They say this is not how it should be done. Just copy what is there on the board or on the textbook. So that is now changing in schools also. But in medical colleges, it would be better if we recognize that students approach anything from different angles, bring their own cultural experiences, lived experiences into it. So this calls for leadership.
Yeah. So let's pan out for a minute and then zoom out and see what do you think that the future of education, especially in health profession, how do these institutes going to look like, especially in India? Let's say imagine 2040 when your children will be teaching and my children will be teaching in this institute. How would this look like to you?
This is a very important question, actually. This is something that we'll all have to think very deeply about. This is going to affect the future of healthcare education worldwide, especially in India. There is this old saying also, anything that could be any repetitive job or a work that could be done by a man who can be trained can be automated. Now, this is the age of automation and AI. We all have seen the possibilities of what AI holds. Right now, it can generate anything. It can give good answers. It can also do reasoning fairly well. So the it is only going to get better and better from here. Now this is the base. By the time our children grow up and they want to become healthcare professionals or doctors or things like that, the scenario is going to be very, very different. So the most important thing that humans can do is be creative, actually. So the answer is that in the next 5, not even a decade, not even 10 years, let's say in the next 5 years, the fresh students from school who are going to enter medical school colleges, they need not remember, they need not be taught how to remember various facts and put together. They have to be taught to be much more rational, reasoning, logical thinkers, critical thinkers, and use creativity in everything that they do. Only they will stand out, and they have a better chance at to be prosperous and to do well, excel, and then go up. If anybody is going to do the same mundane jobs which can be easily automated or AI can do, they will be at a huge danger. So institutions will have to uh, take this in mind and start preparing for the eventual future where AI is going to play a very large role in healthcare education as well, and teachers can be replaced to a certain extent by AI. What AI can't do, it can't think of very new ways, very new creative ways of doing stuff, teaching also. And AI doesn't have the emphatic touch. AI cannot look at you in your eyes and look at you eye to eye and then encourage you or inspire you. That AI may not be able to do to that extent that we humans can. So the human part, the humane touch, creativity, explorations, all these things will have to come together to make a better medical teacher as well as a medical doctor. AI can diagnose you based on the tests that you have, resources that you have. It can tell you all the possibilities, odds, it can calculate, it can tell you the probabilities, but it won't be able to hold your hand and reassure you or your parents or your children or your caretakers. It can't do that yet. So that is the part that only we can do, and we should become better at that part. It's no use becoming better at things that AI can do, because it can do it at cheaper, at low cost. So we have to do better at things only humans can do, which is again coming back to the topic of this podcast. Is creativity is something that we can do very, very well. Will start learning, and right now people are talking about self-learning AIs or self-replicating or self-improving AIs, which can improve upon its own learning. But that is a few years ago away, or maybe a decade away, We don't know. We really can't say how these things are progressing right now. But the AI that we have right now only has learned from the corpus of knowledge, from the body of knowledge that humans have created. It can't go beyond that, while we still have the possibility to go beyond. So there is a lot of ambiguity there, but within what we know as of now, there is still a lot of space for us. If we pan out and see, institutions have a lot of things to do, but a shorter time to execute all these things.
So we need to move from remembering, understanding, and analyzing into more of application and
very
evaluation
creative
and
application.
creativity. So creativity being the apex of the pyramid is what we need to excel at.
Yes,
So that's a very nice one. And as you rightly said, no, finally, we don't know what the future holds in for us, but what we are very sure at this point of time is that the human touch, human element, what we can bring into healthcare. So that is not going to change, and that is going to get much more reinforced. That is what I see. So anyway, as Eleanor Roosevelt says, the future belongs to people who believe in the beauty of our dreams. So maybe this is the time for us to dream about how we can actually enhance our workplace, our educational institutions, infuse a huge dose of creativity, and make our students, faculty, and staff enjoy what they are doing on an everyday basis. So that is going to be this thing. So friends, today we learned that innovation is not born in lecture halls, it's not born in laboratories, but it can be begin anywhere. It can begin in a dreamer, it can begin in a doodler, a designer, etc., etc. When institutions dare to think differently, they'll become where excellence is just not measured, but where we can make excellence. So, to our listeners and students, this is what I want to leave you with. What if we can make our institution sing? What if we can make it dance? Can we breathe creativity into every corner? Is it possible? Yes, it is definitely possible with someone like you, someone who is standing behind the camera right this moment and looking at us. So, and someone who is there sitting right in front of me, who has an equal weightage on his left brain and right brain. And Jagan, can you just show your hands for the viewers? So that is his calligraphy hand with all the ink which you could see. So until the next time, where we will meet you with another interesting topic on our Pursuit of Excellence series, I bid you farewell. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep creating, and above all, keep yourself in the pursuit of excellence. Thank you very much. Adios.
Thank you very much.